This is Bohemia in 1515. We're the #1 great power in the world with almost 1500 development. We're running level 3 advisors very easily with a unique ruler in charge as well. We're making about 75 ducats a month in the positive with almost no inflation and no loans at all, a lot of it coming from our 3 extremely developed gold mines. We're ahead of time in every single technology, and we've already wrapped up diplomatic and economic ideas, an excellent opener for Bohemia. We've completed most of the brand new Bohemian mission tree, which is absolutely super powerful, and pretty soon we'll also be able to change our name and gain some amazing permanent modifiers as the Bohemian Commonwealth. But we've also taken the mission which allows us to form one of the newest formables in EU4, Great Moravia. We have a very nice army professionalism, really good morale, and an insane land force limit. We have Bulgaria and Byzantium and Brandenburg as our vassals, and Hungary, Lithuania, Poland, and Saxony as our junior partners, and we've already inherited Burgundy and their super rich lands. And we're the HRE Emperor with 4 reforms passed. This is how you can do the same. Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be doing a guide for Bohemia for EU4 1.37 Winds of Change. So Bohemia is a nation located in Central Europe, and it has received quite a lot of updates, some good, some bad, with this latest DLC and update. Obviously, as Bohemia, we do start out with the Bohemian elective monarchy tier 1 government reform, which does remain unchanged. Basically, we have a ruler election every time a ruler ascends the throne. You'll see what that's all about pretty soon. And we also start off with +1 Diplo Rep, plus 10% nobles influence, plus 10% nobles loyalty, plus 5% nobles influence, and +1 max nobles privileges. Obviously, Bohemian ideas are very strong for imperial and conquest focused gameplay, starting off with -10% advisor discounts and plus 10% imperial authority growth, which is excellent for becoming the emperor. Then after that we have a +3 tolerance of heretics, which is actually really strong, +1 yearly legitimacy, plus 10% infantry combat ability, and -5% shock damage received. Super strong double idea right here. -1 national arrest, -10% deck discount, very powerful, -5% stab discount, and -25% cost of advisors with ruler's culture, and then finishing off with +1 land leader fire. Obviously, the Bohemian mission tree has been updated quite a lot, with this entire top portion right here focusing on us PUing Hungary and getting Nitra from them for free, PUing Poland and possibly Lithuania if they're their subject as well, expanding over into the Balkans and fighting the Ottomans, subjugating various HRE electors, and all of those other good things. And then this bottom branch right here focuses on us recovering from some bad things that have happened to us, while also developing our lands and focusing on which religion we're going to go with, whether the Catholic or the Hussite path. Obviously, as Bohemia, we do start off in a pretty powerful position as well. We are an HRE elector, and very soon we'll be becoming the HRE emperor as well. We start off with the 2 subjects, Glogau and Opole right here, which we can very soon merge into one special type of vassal right here. And obviously, playing as Bohemia is probably the most powerful it's ever been, even though the start maybe is a little more difficult. So sit back, relax, and learn what you need to do as Bohemia. Alright, here we are as Bohemia. Now, the first thing you're going to be greeted with in this latest update as Bohemia is this event right here, the aftermath of the Hussite Wars. As you'll know, we do start off with a bunch of Hussite provinces, and obviously that enables us to choose whether to remain Catholic like we are right now, or go the Hussite path, which is actually quite a lot more fun in this latest update. But still, for the purposes of this guide, we are going to be remaining Catholic. I do think playing Hussite is a whole different ballgame, and maybe not the best for newer players, which these guys are aimed towards. Either way, once you go and click this event, you'll see basically that every province in these 3 areas right here starts off with devastation right at the start. These ones right here have about 20, these ones right here in our capital state of Bohemia have about 50, and these ones over in Moravia have about 20 as well. Obviously, that's going to tick down and stuff like that, but it is pretty troubling right at the start. And additionally, we have a modifier, the Hussite Destruction, for 30 years or until we deal with it from our missions, which gives us -10% national attacks and -10% member recovery speed, which honestly isn't that bad compared to the devastation. So there we go. You can just go ahead and click this away. Next, what we're going to do as Bohemia is a focus on the internal management of our country, because actually the first war we're going to be doing right here is a war to PU Hungary, which is going to happen in about 10-ish years. So the first 10 years we're not really going to be doing a lot of wars as Bohemia, maybe none at all. Obviously, there are different ways to start Bohemia as well, by doing other wars versus Austria or maybe PUing Poland first. But once again, I feel like those starts are for more experienced players, and this start we're going to be going with the war versus Hungary. So first we're going to go into our estates. We do start off with a 35% crownland control, which is actually very nice, and we're going to summon the diet, and you can choose whichever angina is best for you. Then we're going to give the clergy religious state and clerical advisory council, along with religious diplomats, religious culture, enforced unity of faith, and clerical education. As we can see, we're granting quite a lot of privileges to the clergy. 2 of these help us convert provinces faster, which is something we do want to do because we need to deal with the Hussite provinces, one of which is our capital, and it's pretty hard to convert. Next, we're going to go ahead and give the nobility primacy of the nobility, increased levies, and aristocratic councillors, along with strong duchies, because we do have 2 subjects and we want to have more diplo relations. And finally, we're going to give the burghers land of commerce, patronage of the arts, commercial advisory board, and indebted to the burghers. Then we're going to seize land. Next, we need to take a look at some of our starting missions. This first one right here, the Hungarian succession, will give us a PUCB on Hungary if we have a larger army than Hungary, if we had one of the 2 events that we're waiting for, and if Hungary has also had some of the events they've been waiting for as well. So that's why we're actually going to wait for this for quite a while until we're able to PU them. Then for this mission right here, we need to humiliate Austria or be a great power while they're not a great power. This is sort of the alternative start where you start off by fighting Austria first. However, we're going to get this done later, so don't worry about this for now. And then we need to do the mission Consolidate Silesia as well, where we either need to annex our subjects or get both of them up to 200 opinion and less than 1% liberty desire. If we full annex our subjects, we'll gain some development and lose separatism in Silesia. However, if we improve relations with these guys, we can basically merge them into the subject Silesia, which used to be here before they put Opole and Glogau right there. That is the option we're going to go with. So that's what we're going to start off doing, improving our nation and improving relations with our subjects right here. Additionally, something else we want to take care of right here is this mission Control the Electors, where 4 electors will be backing us to become emperor. Obviously, we can't do that right now because we don't have a ruler right at the start as Bohemia, but pretty soon after we get a ruler, we'll try and get some of these guys to support us, and then we'll be able to do that mission as well. So really, for now, the only one you're strictly focusing on is this, getting 200 opinion with both of your subjects. But first, we're going to go ahead and hire some advisors. Get whichever level 1 admin advisor you want. If you have a missionary strength level 1 advisor, that would be the best. I don't have one, but an inflation reduction guy is pretty good too, so I am going to hire him. Get an improved relations or diplo rep level 1 dip advisor. I do have a diplo rep guy, so I am going to hire him. And then get a morale, discipline, fort defense, or manpower level 1 mill advisor. I do have this fort defense guy, so I am going to hire him. This will make us lose a little bit of money right at the start, but it's really not a problem since we do start off with a gold mine right here in this province, and we're going to be getting more gold mines soon. Next, you can also take our 2 armies, put them in Prague, and once they get there, we're going to merge them and build up our army. And something else we can do is turn off our forts for now to save some money. Then, with 1 diplomat, we're going to start establishing relations with a bunch of nations around us, and with 2 of them, we're going to start improving with Glogau, just like that, and with Opole as well. Obviously, make sure to royal marry them. And then the alliances you want to secure with Bohemia are obviously one with Burgundy right here. Get a royal marriage with them as well, so we can go ahead and PU them through that event. Then we're going to try and get relations with the Pope as well. Obviously, we're going to be staying Catholic. Then we're also going to get relations with some electors, but not Saxony and Brandenburg. So some of these other guys right here, like Köln, Trier, Mainz, the Palatinate, whichever one of those guys you want to. And then as Bohemia, we can also potentially ally the Ottomans sometimes, and that is also an alliance we're going to try and go with. These other guys you can get for sure. The Ottomans, maybe you can get them. And then, of course, we're going to set some rivals as well. I recommend rivaling Hungary, rivaling Poland, and then rivaling someone else, but don't rival Austria just yet. I'm going to go for Denmark in my game. And now it's time to just let a couple of months or a year or 2 go by until you secure relations with all of the nations that I just mentioned. Once your army is located over in Prague right here, we do need to build up the force limit, or almost a force limit, because our combat width is 20. We're going to be going up to about 20 infantry regiments. Just like that. 20, not yet, but pretty soon it will be there. So 19-4. For now. When you get this event right here, the Compacts of Basel, pretty soon after the start of the game, you will be able to choose the first option right here, which gives us +2 tolerance of heretics, and it will enable us to resolve this whole Hussite thing sort of more peacefully. But the option you actually want to go with in a Catholic playthrough is this one right here, which gives us +2% missionary strength versus heretics, but it also gives us +5 national unrest. We'll deal with the unrest, it's not a big deal, we desperately need that missionary strength. And speaking of missionary strength, now is when we start converting all of these provinces right here. Basically, go ahead and activate the Enforce Religious Unity State Edict in your capital state of Bohemia and in the state of Moravia as well. At this time, we're also going to activate the Encourage Development State Edict over in this state right here. This is going to cause us to lose a bunch of money, but pretty soon that'll all be fixed once we fix up this gold mine, lower devastation, and stuff like that. As you can see, while you start converting provinces, at this point you still may not be able to convert Prague unless you get a missionary strength guy. So all of these other ones, they'll be pretty easy to convert. Prague is the hardest, so that's why also we're not going to be developing our capital even if the Renaissance spawns until we actually convert it. It is pretty hard to convert because of that minus 5% religious center modifier, and that's why we needed to go with the Persecution of the Hussites option in that event that we just got for an additional plus 2% missionary strength. Then once you get the missionary strength advisor, you'll be able to convert it. It will be slower than these though, obviously, but still, we're gonna do it. As we can see right now, a couple of months after the start of the game, I have been improving relations with both of my subjects. I've royal married them, and I've established relations with everyone that we needed to. Burgundy, the Pope, and 3 electors right here. In my game, I've gone for Cologne, Mainz, and the Planet. You guys can go for Trier too if you want. It's totally up to you. Now that I'm done with those guys, I'm going to start improving relations with the Ottomans. This is not guaranteed that you'll be able to ally them, but you might be able to. At this point, once you've built up your army a little bit, you can go ahead and split it so it doesn't attrition, and you can lower army maintenance to save some money, at least until some rebels want to pop up. Now, at this point in the game, you may get a ruler as Bohemia. I've gotten one because I royal married Burgundy, and this is how sort of the election works as the Bohemian elective monarchy. Basically, you get a random guy, like this one, for example, right here that I got, and you can choose to stick with him, get legitimacy, choose one from a certain other house, like the von Habsburgs here in my game, which does enable you to PU them if you have the same dynasty, of course. This is pretty useful in sort of the later stages of the gameplay, or we can choose one of our own guys from our own nobility, which you do learn the stats of. Obviously, this guy's pretty weak. The Habsburg guy, we don't know his stats, and our guy right here is 242, which is all right. So there we go. Just like that, as Bohemia, you might get a ruler. This is not guaranteed. Either way, that's not the other event that we were waiting for. The event that we're actually waiting for is the return of the Hussites that this mission wants us to do. Either way, now that we have a ruler, yes, we can be voted for in the HRE. So if you get a ruler, definitely make sure to vote for yourself. But still, even though we might have a ruler, we're still not doing any wars. Like I said, our first war is versus Hungary in about 10-ish years right here, if they don't become a junior partner under Austria. If they do become a junior partner under Austria, then we're straight up gonna conquer them instead of PUing them. Obviously, it's better to PU them, but if you can't, don't worry about it. Now, in a more advanced playthrough, now if you do end up getting a ruler, now maybe you would fight someone like Austria over here to humiliate them or something like that. But we're not doing that, so that's why we're chilling, even if you got a ruler. Now, after you do gain a ruler, whether it's like this or through the other event that we're waiting for, the guys that you've allied and yourself, obviously, all of them are going to vote for you. So at that point, you will be able to take the mission Control the Electors, where you need 4 guys to back you, and obviously you should do it right away. Obviously, this is an event you want to keep an eye on as well, the successor of Vladislav. You want Poland to get Lithuania as a junior partner, because like that will also be able to get Lithuania as a junior partner. Obviously, right here, we're immediately going to start developing the gold mine in Cheb up to 10 production. That'll help us get rid of the devastation, and it'll make us more money. Try not to use your mill points on this. Instead, try and only use admin and diplo points. Right now in my game, I've just sent a scornful insult over to Austria, which is obviously an Ottoman rival right here, and that has enabled me to ally the Ottomans. This is an optional alliance. You may not be able to do this. Don't worry if you don't. But if you did manage to get it, then that's awesome. Once you're done with the whole Ottoman thing, with another diplomat, you can improve relations with allies. Another alliance you should try and get during this point in the game, and that is possible as well, just like the Ottomans, is an alliance with Muscovy. This isn't really necessary, but these 2 guys right here will help you clean up these guys right here, and then once you own that, you'll be strong enough to take them on yourself. Basically, we're doing Hungary, then Poland and Lithuania, then we're doing the Ottomans. Muscovy is just a bonus. If you can't get them, don't worry. But try and get them. Obviously, if you get this event, the Cardinal Minister, where you have the options, he has 8 as well so far, or the other one right here, go with the first one always. This time, it's even more helpful because it gives us additional missionary strength. And once you get relations with your subjects up to 200 with both of them, you will be able to take the mission Consolidate Silesia right here. And because we're doing it in this way, this happens right here, and pretty much Silesia forms. They are now our incorporated vassal, which makes them 25% cheaper to integrate, and we obviously save ourselves our Diplo slot as well. At this point, you will be able to take the mission Polish Diplomacy right here, where basically we need to have completed this mission and either have a bigger army than Poland or more prestige than them, or we need to own 10 provinces in the region of Poland. And if Poland is valid for a personal union, we will receive the Restoration of Union CB on them, and we will be able to PU them. Now, the reason why we usually go with Hungary first is because they're simply an easier target, but perhaps in your game, you might not be able to deal with Hungary. They might have gotten super lucky. If you allied someone like France and Austria or something, they might not have become a junior partner under Austria, or if they did, obviously you're not going to PU them, you're just going to fight them. However, if you manage to secure an alliance with like the Ottomans and Muscovy, and if those guys are willing to help you out versus Poland, it is totally valid that you are able to PU Poland first. However, if you don't get these guys or something like that, then you're going to be going with Hungary. But obviously, as any PU mission for any nation that you play, you're not going to take these types of missions right away. You're only going to take these missions once you're ready to declare. So, because we still don't know what's going on with Hungary right here, let's analyze the Poland situation in my game. If we want to go ahead and declare on them, we can see that they're allied to Brandenburg and Scilly, which isn't that bad. Obviously, they have Moldavia, Lithuania, and Mazovia, which is completely normal. And let's see, will any of my allies want to help me versus Poland? As we can see, Cologne and Mainz are willing to come in, but that's not really enough. We need some like the Ottomans, for example, where obviously they would potentially help us once their truce with Poland has expired, so that's definitely an option right there. Burgundy, they aren't willing to help out because we don't have favors, and Muscovy, we're still not allied to them, obviously. So once we get favors with Burgundy, the Ottomans are out of their war, and once we ally Muscovy, we'll assess the situation again, and it might be easier for us to actually fight these guys first. But either way, we're still waiting. Now, after a couple of years, I have devved up a gold mine right here up to 10 production. Once you do that, you can turn off the edict. And while I'm trying to get a missionary strength advisor, we've gotten one of the events that we were waiting for, the return of the Hussites. And this is pretty much the place where you choose to go Hussite if you wanted to go that option. Obviously, if you didn't want to go Hussite like we're doing in this guide, you've already been converting provinces over here. But we have a couple of options. The first one is Jan Hus Knew the Truth, where if you don't have a ruler, you gain a ruler. If you do have one, he will be replaced. Basically, Hussite becomes the new state religion of Bohemia, and Yuri 543 becomes our ruler right there, and he's pretty strong. So that is the option you want to go with if you want to go Hussite. Then we have another option right here. Let the king follow Hus, the nation follows Rome. Will we lose a bunch of papal influence? Our current ruler, if we have one, dies. That Yuri guy still becomes our ruler, and he is Hussite. However, we ourselves will remain Catholic, as we can see. Then we gain some infantry combat ability, we lose Diplo rep, and we lose yearly papal influence until that guy dies. And obviously, this third option right here is we will be loyal to Rome, where a bunch of pretenders rise up, basically because we didn't choose Yuri right here, and the Pope ends up liking us. Now, obviously, if you didn't get a ruler at all right at the start, like I did right here with the royal marriage I did with Burgundy, you will be choosing the second option right here, where Yuri will become your ruler, but you stay Catholic. However, if you did end up getting a ruler, just like I did, you could also go with this option right here, where you just fight some pretenders and the Pope doesn't end up hating you. Obviously, the first option is Hussite. Now, since most of you will be choosing this second option right here to get Yuri as your ruler and the Pope becomes mad at you, that's also what I'm going to go with, even though I have a ruler right now. But like I said, if you have a ruler, you can totally just go with this option, which is better if you have a ruler, in my opinion, rather than getting all of these negative stuff with the Pope and waiting for them to go away until this guy dies. But either way, this is the most likely option, and that's the one you're going to go with. And just like that, you lose a little bit of prestige. You can choose to keep Yuri, which is obviously something you do want to do. He is pretty good. And just like that, now you definitely, after that event, have a ruler. At this point, once that event happens, you will also be able to take the mission and the Regency right here, where basically if you chose to go Hussite, you will unlock the Hussite branches. And if you chose to stay Catholic, you will unlock the Catholic branches. Basically, these three missions right here, they're Hussite or Catholic. You can preview them right here by clicking on this, even though it doesn't really matter. So there we go. We're going to take this right here, and just like that, we got the Catholic missions. Now, to move along with these missions, all we need to do is basically convert the provinces. And I'm going to do that by trying to look for, once again, a missionary strength advisor. Right now I'm just helping out Burgundy in some war. It doesn't really matter. Obviously we do want to help them since it's better for us for them to grow, because we'll end up getting them as our junior partner anyway. But I did also gain stability from an event, and once you have one stab, once you're getting your manpower back up, and once devastation gets itself lowered in the provinces, you will be able to take the mission Recover from the Hussite Wars, where we gain some bonuses, and those negative modifiers that we got at the start of the game get removed. As we can see, it wasn't that big of a deal. Now, here's a development in the stuff going on with Hungary. I did get pretty lucky in my game right here, because I just noticed that Ladislas Posthumus has died, and if that guy has died, obviously that means that Austria won't end up PUing Hungary. Realistically, though, it's a 50-50 chance whether Austria does get Hungary or not, and if they don't, obviously you'll PU them. But let's say that thing has resolved itself in your game as well. It is at most 1547, obviously, and now all I need to do to gain a restoration of Union CB on Hungary is to have a larger army than them. Now, obviously, this does change things up a little bit, because at that point, when you are able to take this mission right here, Hungary will have already rejected Austria, and Austria will have broken their alliance with Hungary that obviously they always do. In my game right here, because Ladislas Posthumus died, Austria doesn't have a reason to be angry at Hungary, so that's why I'm gonna have to fight them as well now when I try and PU Hungary. Obviously, it's not going to be a big deal, but when you PU Hungary in your game, they won't be allied to Austria, unless, of course, the exact same thing happens like in my game and Ladislas Posthumus died. So, once you can see that you're almost able to take this mission, or that you are able to take this mission, it's time to get ready. All I gotta do right here in my game is build up one more infantry regiment. Even though I'm over force limit, that will enable me to take this mission. And there we go, now we're ready to go ahead and declare on Hungary, which means once we're finally able to do that, whether it's Hungary or Poland, by the way, then you're gonna go ahead and take this mission. Let's go ahead and assess the situation. So, obviously they're still allied to Austria and Munich, and they have Croatia as a junior partner, and actually Austria isn't willing to help him out, because it turns out they did get mad. They no longer desire them as an ally, and all of my guys are willing to help. Obviously, there's no need to call in anyone super powerful in this. You can very easily beat Hungary, but I am gonna call people in just to make things easier, except for the Ottomans. So, once you're ready to go ahead and declare, you can take this mission right here, and that will give our restoration of Union CB of Hungary to us. And super importantly, once we do PU them, we'll end up getting all of this right here over to us, which is obviously very powerful. Obviously, it's not like in the previous patches where first we did a war versus Hungary to take the state of Slovakia right here, and then in our next war, we PU'd them. Right now, it's just one war versus Hungary instead of two, so that's way better. So there we go. There's my declaration on Hungary, yours as well. Your possible first war, if you're following along with this guide, obviously. If not Hungary, then it's Poland. And I'm going to call in everyone here except for the Ottomans, because I don't want to use up the favors with them, so we can get their help to fight Poland later. And there we go. Once you're ready, it's usually the mid-1450s, declare on Hungary, and PU them. And during this war, I finally managed to convert the province of Prague, because a certain modifier that I had removed itself, so it converted itself very fast, even though it started off super slow. Now every single province is Catholic. You should be able to wrap that up in about 10-ish years, and once you do go ahead and convert every single province to Catholic, you will be able to take the mission Purge the Hussite Heresy, where if we complete this mission while we're Catholic, we gain some papal influence and a skill 2 theologian who's 75% cheaper. So definitely go ahead and take that mission. There's no need to take the decision to change Yuri to Catholic, unless you have like 3 stab or something like that. Now, obviously, since you'll be good with money with Bohemia right from the start, you should definitely start building up churches as fast as possible when you get the money. Obviously, a church will help you convert Prague faster too. Since we're going to be becoming emperor right here pretty quickly, and we're going to stay the emperor for the entirety of the campaign for your tier 2 government reform, there's no need to go strengthen noble privileges, since manpower won't be a problem. That's why for that reason I recommend curtail noble privileges, which is pretty good for the tax and because we already have some noble influence from here. But if you don't think that that's good enough, you can definitely go ahead and compromise with the nobility. So for your tier 2 government reform, one of these two right here. Obviously, you can also stack advisor discounts as Bohemia as well by taking this one right here, since we already start off with an advisor discount, and we're gonna get some more later on once we finish our national ideas. Either way, I still think this one's best. Now, something else pretty important happens too. Once you convert Prague to Catholic, you will finally be able to take advantage of the monument, the Historical Center of Prague, which is at tier 2 at the start of the game. It gives us tolerance of the true faith, tolerance of heretics, and yearly papal influence, but most importantly, it gives us 0.1 imperial authority growth, paired with our already existing one from our national ideas. Once we become emperor, we'll be generating way more imperial authority compared to Austria. And once you gain around 60% war score versus Hungary, or whichever nation you're fighting whenever you're PUing them, you're good to go ahead and peace out, because that's all you need, really about 60% war score. So you're going to go ahead and select the Union with Hungary peace option right here. You're going to take as much money as you can. You can notice that it is quite a lot of aggressive expansion, but it's no big deal because we're literally getting all of Hungary and Croatia. So don't worry about it at all. And just like that, your war with Hungary is done. After you go ahead and PU Hungary, make sure to start improving relations with them immediately to get them up to 0. Obviously, you end up getting Croatia as well, so improve with both of these guys so they don't break away from you once your ruler dies. Make sure to pay off their debt as well if you can. That will help you out a little bit too. But start improving relations immediately. Something else you're going to do after you PU Hungary is take this mission right here, claim the Holy Crown, where if we complete it while Hungary is our subject, basically if you go the PU route instead of the conquest route, we'll gain the transfer the ownership of Nitra decision, and it'll make Hungary lose 25% liberty desire. So definitely go ahead and take that mission right away, just like that. And there's that decision right there. All we need to go ahead and take it is for Hungary to have less than 50% liberty desire, which you should be able to do relatively quickly. Once you go ahead and PU Hungary, and by the way, I'm just helping out the Ottomans and something, obviously they'll end up inheriting Croatia too. After this, we're going to chill for a little bit, wait for aggressive expansion to go down, and then our next target is obviously Poland. Obviously, if Austria got Hungary, or if you're not able to PU them, your first target was Poland. After you've gotten Tech 4 in every category, and after you've converted Prague to Catholic, that's when you're going to activate the Encourage Development State Edict in your capital state of Bohemia, and then you're going to develop Prague up to 30 dev. Obviously, if you're above a 15 dev already, which you should be, you should go ahead and expand infrastructure first. And speaking of expand infrastructure, there's an interesting bug right here in the Bohemian mission tree. Basically, this mission right here, the Golden City, once you take it, and we'll be doing it later, don't worry about it, basically gives us 1 dev in each category every time we expand infrastructure in Prague. Now, obviously, you may notice that expanding infrastructure is cheaper than actually developing, not at this point, but soon it will be. And basically, every time you expand infrastructure for 50 admin points, or 30 if you can get it down, you'll gain 3 dev. So 3 dev for just 30 admin points is obviously insane. And then you can obviously reduce infrastructure, which doesn't cost anything, and keep expanding infrastructure, and you can get Prague up to like 1,000 dev or something like that. Because it's just a bug, no need to do it, but you get my point. At this point, while still helping out the Ottomans in this war that they called me in, either way I wasn't going to do anything, I was going to chill. That is exactly what you should do after you PU Hungary as well. I've also managed to ally Muscovy, which is perfect. They'll be able to help out versus Poland most likely. Let's go ahead and check. And actually, they probably wouldn't be able to help out because they're in debt. No big deal, I'll just break that alliance in that case since it is taking up a Diplo slot. And don't worry about being way over a relations limit during this point in the game, it's completely normal. Now that the Ottomans have ended their war, I can finally go ahead and take the decision transfer ownership of Nitra right here. Obviously, you'll be able to do this as soon as you can. And as we can see, these are the requirements we need to fulfill. Pretty much the only thing you'll need to do is get Hungary with less than 50% liberty desire. And there we go, every province in Slovakia that is owned by Hungary will be transferred to us. We will not gain cores on those provinces, so it's nice that the tooltip lets us know about that. And basically Hungary loses their cores on Slovakia and they gain liberty desire. But either way, even with all of that, we still do need to do all of this because in the previous patch, if you guys remember, we conquered Nitra first, then PU'd Hungary. I mentioned this earlier, but now we basically get to gain all of this in one single war, which is very nice. So there we go. You need to get Hungary loyal again, which you'll be able to do easily, and it's time to core up all of the cores that we got from Hungary over here. Obviously, after that, we're going to full state it, and we're going to develop this gold mine as well, up to 10 production. Like this, we also retain the level of the monument, the Golden City right here, which is very nice for gold mines. After getting this from Hungary, you'll also be able to take this mission right here where we gain Slovak as an accepted culture, and every province of Slovakia will gain 1 random development. Around this point in the game, after you've gotten Tech 4 in every category, and after you've developed this gold mine and your capital, you can start focusing on dip. Because we are going to be opening up with Diplo ideas, and we're going to be developing another gold mine, and we're also going to be integrating our vassal Silesia here pretty quickly. Obviously, we weren't focusing up until now because we had some other development to do, and we had to tech up in other categories as well. And once you get Admin Tech 5, it will be time for our first idea group, and like I just mentioned, for Bohemia, I recommend opening up with the diplomatic ideas. This is because obviously we're going to be playing with subjects pretty heavily this campaign. We have Hungary, we got Silesia, we're going to get Poland and Lithuania. We're probably going to get Burgundy as well. And we're going to be releasing a couple of guys down here in the Ottomans. And we're going to be subjugating a couple of nations in the HRE as well. So subject gameplay, at least for the first 100 years as Bohemia, is going to be pretty heavy. So Diplo is obviously very suited towards that. Influence obviously is very welcome as well. It's pretty strong for subject gameplay, but I recommend Diplo slightly more because it's also powerful in other matters and not just regarding subjects. We got the diplomats, we got the province war score cost. This will help us get more PUs, obviously. The Diplo rep and Diplo advisor discounts are excellent along with the Diplo relations. So all around a great pick for an opener with Bohemia. Now, if at a certain point you yourself become a great power and Austria isn't, that just happened in my game because I embraced the Renaissance right here, you will be able to take the mission Humiliate Austria, and with that we gain 100 Diplo points, yearly prestige, Diplo rep, and perma claims on some of the Austrian provinces. And if we complete this mission while we have Humiliated Austria, we also gain 25 prestige. But that's not that important. What is important is this next mission right here, Otakar's Legacy, where we need to own 6 provinces in Inner Austria and Austria proper to be able to get this mission. And if we do that, as we can see, we gain 25 power projection and minus 10% core creation cost for 20 years. However, if you read down there at the bottom after the permaclaims you also get, you can see that it says if we complete this mission while Humiliated the Habsburgs, modifier is still active. Basically, you know, if we actually did humiliate them, that modifier, meaning the minus 10% core creation cost, will become permanent. So even if you can take this mission right now, don't do it. We're only gonna take these missions one right after the other, so we gain that minus 10% CCR permanently. So don't worry about taking this mission. Don't worry about the permaclaims. We're first gonna conquer 6 provinces in Austria. Basically, we'll do probably like 3 and then 3 more and humiliate them as well in that second war, so we can take both of these missions in rapid succession so that modifier becomes permanent. Sure, you could take this now, fight them, wait a little bit, fight them again, and, you know, rush basically 25 years for as long as that modifier is active right there. Humiliate the Habsburgs, as you can see, 25 years. But then that will be too much of a rush. So don't worry, we're chilling. We'll do these 2 missions together. Around the 1460s, make sure to lower autonomy everywhere that you can. Now, at a certain point, once you build up your army a little bit, probably you will notice that you are able to take the mission Lion of the Empire as well. And once again, this is a mission that we're not taking right away. As we can see in this latest patch, it is sort of a trend to save missions until the right time to take them, but that's not a big deal at all. And the reason we don't want to take this mission just yet is because it gives us a subjugation CB on Saxony and on Brandenburg, and those are nations that we actually do want a PU. We actually want to use this CB, even though it's not that common and not that good of a CB. But obviously, since we're not done with Poland just yet, we're not going to deal with these guys. Now, obviously, these guys aren't stronger than Poland, right? It's not like we need to deal with Poland first to be able to take them down. But that's just the optimal route of conquest as Bohemia, or of subjugation, that I think is the way to go. First, you get Hungary. If you can't, of course, first you get Poland, then you get, you know, Hungary and Poland, like I said, and after that, it's Saxony and Brandenburg. And in the meantime, we're also going to be dealing with Austria. All of these PUs, as much land as this does grant us, it's still quite a lot of aggressive expansion, let's be real, and it is going to be quite a lot of aid when you subjugate Saxony, when you subjugate Brandenburg, when you fight Austria. So we're taking it slow, but don't worry, everything will eventually get done. So, just like this mission and maybe this mission earlier on as well, we're saving this one too. For now, first, let's deal with Poland. And that should be just a couple of years after you deal with Hungary. After you develop this gold mine up to 10 production as well, then you can go ahead and start annexing Silesia. Make sure to give the nobles the integration policy first though. Obviously, make sure to keep seizing land every time all of these guys are above 50 loyalty. I've already seized once, there we go, they're above 50 loyalty again, let's seize again. I just paid off all my burger loans, and after you got those 2 gold mines right here developed up to 10, income really won't be a problem at all. Sure, high inflation will be, but it's not a problem. Either way, don't be afraid to keep taking out new burger loans in order to improve your country. But there's also a couple of buildings that are pretty relevant right here that we need to build in order to get our claims and to be able to fight the Ottomans. This is that mission right here, protect against the Turks, where as you can see, we need army strength to be 50% of the Ottomans, which really isn't a problem, but also we need 5 provinces owned by us or our subjects in Carpathia to have the highest level of fort possible. Obviously, this is the region of Carpathia right here. As we can see, we already have one right here that is a high-level fort. We also have this one right here that Hungary has, but we also need to construct 3 more right here in order to be able to take that mission. That will unlock the Order of the Dragon local organization, which is a thing that Hungary can do right here, which is actually super powerful. I already explained that in my Hungary guide. Check it out if you haven't. And we also gave a bunch of permaclaims on the Balkans. So we definitely need to do that mission. That's why I'm going to go ahead and start constructing a couple of more forts right here. There are already 2. Let's put one in Pest. Hungary's capital. Let's put one right here in this province, as it's a mountain province. Obviously, we want it to be pretty defensive. And let's not let Hungary take the entire brunt, you know. Let's not let them waste all the money. Since we're making so much money, we got 2 gold mines. I'm also going to build one in myself. Obviously, you never really build forts in regular EU4 gameplay, but it is an interesting mission, and I do like what you need to do in order to complete it. This, the defensiveness, it'll definitely help you out with the Ottomans. It's not like it's gonna hurt you. As we can see right now, Poland is in a war versus the Teutons and that whole Danzig thing, and Danzig still isn't a subject of Poland, but they're about to become one. Usually it happens the early 1460s. That is something you want to look out for, because after Poland gets Danzig over here as their subject, that's when we're gonna PU them. Because why would we fight the Teutons ourselves and get that aggressive expansion ourselves and stuff like that, when we can just let Poland do it for us and we basically get that for free? And there we go, just like that, I've integrated Silesia, a pretty important thing that we need to do, because this is a super valuable state, and definitely make sure to full state it after you annex it. Now that Poland is done with the whole Danzig thing, and maybe it's turned into Ducal Prussia, maybe it's remained as Danzig, either way, we can also gain Prussia as a subject ourselves if we do a certain mission right here. More on that later. Once that is done, then we're ready to go ahead and PU Poland. So let's assess the situation right here. They're like the Gotland, Brandenburg, and Silly. Not bad at all. They got these 3 subjects, which is perfect for us. We gained those guys pretty much for free as well. And there we go. All of our guys right here would help us. So once you've checked the situation is good, you're good to go ahead and declare. And as soon as you're ready to declare, obviously that's when you're gonna take the mission Polish diplomacy right here, and obviously we'll gain -5% diplo annex cost and +50 governing capacity until the end of the game. A pretty powerful modifier right there, especially since it's permanent. And there we go, just like that, we gain a restoration of Union CB on Poland, and if we're lucky enough with Poland, we'll also get Lithuania and Ducal Prussia or Danzig and Moldavia as well. So all of these guys right here, all of this land to us for just about 60 or 70 or 80 aggressive expansion. And there we go, there's my declaration on Poland, take capital Warsaw, and I am gonna call in everyone here just to make this as fast as possible. Obviously, you don't need all of these guys. You could probably do it with just Hungary and Burgundy at this point, but either way, why not speed things up? And there we go, there's our declaration on Poland. Now, while you're taking care of Poland, if there are still any nations over here left over that are bordering Hungary, like in my game Bosnia and Serbia, you are going to want to set their border provinces right here as provinces of interest, so Hungary spies on them so we can declare on them. Obviously, later on, we are going to get claims or actually subjugation CBs on every independent nation in the Balkans, but by the time we get to there, these guys might not even exist. So that's why if there are any of them left, like Bosnia, Herzegovina, Serbia, Wallachia, whatever, we're going to take care of these guys after we're done with Poland, because if we don't, well, the Ottomans or someone else will just go ahead and conquer them. So that's why I've set provinces of interest here. Let's see, is Hungary going to do anything? In fact, they've already spied on Bosnia right here, and I also have a claim on them. And let's see, Serbia right here, we don't have a claim on them, but right now, after I've done the provinces of interest thing, Hungary is going to spy on them too. So after we get done with Poland, we're going to focus a little bit down here. War is going great, but what I want to say right here is once you get to Admin Tech 6, which I just did, you need to start building up workshops immediately. Workshops are obviously a super valuable building. They bring in a ton of income, especially in the high value trade good provinces. But additionally, we have a mission right here, Bohemian Industry, that requires us to own 10 provinces with workshops, and then obviously we get to unlock some nicer missions down the line, and we gain some extra money, production efficiency, a dev discount, and every time we develop a province with Diplo points, there's also a 20% chance of getting free development, which is very nice. Obviously, you know, some of you may consider developing the gold mines after you've already done this mission, so you can potentially get some dev right there for free, but I think by the time you get to do this mission, basically by the time you unlock workshops, you'll have lost so much money from not developing the gold producing provinces. So don't worry, play normally, take this mission whenever. Either way, now I'm gonna start constructing 10 workshops in the high value trade good provinces. And as always when PUing someone, once you get about 60% war score, that's enough. You're good to go ahead and peace out. So obviously, you're going to select the union with Poland option right here. You're going to take as much money as you want. This is obviously quite a lot of aggressive expansion. 94, you'd probably never take a land this early that's worth 94 aggressive expansion. But come on, look at this. It's all of Poland, Ducal Prussia, Moldavia, and all of Lithuania too. So obviously, it's a no-brainer right there. It says that a coalition could form right here, but not really, since Poland is going to be our subject. Brandenburg we have a truce with because I just pieced them out, so we're all good on that front. Don't worry about it. Obviously, if you declare right away after you've PU'd Hungary, sure, you are going to get coalition. but if you wait 4, 5, 6 years, it's really not gonna be a problem. So there's the peace deal with Poland done, and just like that, we have Hungary and Poland for sure as junior partners, and potentially Lithuania as well, and Moldavia and Ducal Prussia as subjects through our subjects. Now it's once again time to chill a little bit before focusing on the Balkan nations that border Hungary, if there are any, and if not, we're gonna deal with Austria or maybe Brandenburg and Saxony. Of course, just like after we pieced out Hungary, right now we're immediately gonna start improving relations with Poland and Lithuania until they go to 0, because we don't want them breaking away from us if our ruler dies. If their opinion of you is lower than 0 and your ruler dies, they are gonna break free. So let's improve with them immediately. In my game, I am rich enough to be able to support loyalists as well. That is something I was doing with Hungary up until now, but no need to do it anymore. Let's go ahead and support loyalists in Lithuania and in Poland as well. That'll bring down their liberty desire and get our opinion up faster. After we PU Poland, you will be able to take the mission Shemshelid Heritage right here, which gives us that modifier, and it's a 5% Diplo Annex discount and 50% governing capacity. Really powerful. We also gain permaclaims on East and West Prussia, which in my game Poland and their subject Ducal Prussia already own, so it's perfect. We are gonna technically have those provinces, and then obviously if we complete this mission while Poland or the Commonwealth are our subjects, basically if you do it the PU route instead of the conquest route, we also get to have them as our historical friends, which is absolutely awesome, and they'll start loving us very, very soon. Now, another mission you'll be able to take after you took Shemshelid Heritage is Pomeranian, and I don't know if that's spelled correctly. I feel like it should be Pomeranian, but I guess it's here, so I don't know. Is this mission right here, Reconquest, where it gives us 20 army tradition, and all the excess army tradition will be converted into 3 mill points per 1 army tradition. That's not that important. What is important is it unlocks a decision allowing us to release Prussia, the actual Prussia, by the way, not Ducal Prussia right here, as our vassal in our directly, and keep in mind on that, directly owned provinces in West and East Prussia. So that means after we take this mission, we'll have a decision to where we can release Prussia from these provinces if we owned these provinces ourselves. So if we take that decision, or actually we won't be able to take that decision because we don't have directly owned provinces right here. So let's go ahead and take that mission. You should go ahead and take it as well. And then later, way later down the line, after Poland annexes Ducal Prussia and after we annex Poland ourselves, then we might want to take that decision right here to release Prussia as our subject. Obviously, this is purely a role-playing type thing, and you definitely don't have to do it yourself at all. But if you're doing a playing tall campaign and you want to see the actual Prussia as your subject, definitely go ahead and do it. It's totally up to you. Now, since it's a period that we're gonna chill even more, it's time to complete another development-focused mission along with Bohemian Industry right here, which we're already working on, and that is Bohemian Crystal right here. Now, once again, yes, we are gonna be using Diplo points primarily to develop these provinces that we need to, but it is something we're doing quite a lot in the early game. And as we can see for the requirements right here, we need to have Rudahori over here, and this province as well, developed 5 times or improved 5 times or developed 5 more times, depending on how you want to look at it, and then we need to have workshops in them as well. And then the event Bohemian Crystal happens where we can, increase the price of glass or do stuff with gems over there as well. So you'll see what that's all about. So either way, whenever you can, and this is totally no rush, improve this province 5 times and improve this province 5 times. So that's 5 death clicks. It seems that in this latest patch, the AI is not afraid to call you into their wars. As you can see right now, I'm helping out the Ottomans versus Theodora right here, Mainz versus Nassau, and the Palatinate versus Trier at the same time. Obviously, go ahead and accept these wars as long as they aren't super difficult or annoying. Now, later on in the game, you'll get this event, A Question of Faith, where basically the game asks you, are you sure you don't want to be Hussite? And at this point, if you didn't go Hussite earlier, now you have another chance. Obviously, in this Catholic guide right here, we would never take such a risk. And in my game, the first Austrian Emperor Frederick right here just died, and just like that, I have been elected the HRE Emperor. In your game as well, as soon as the first Austrian guy dies, realistically, you should be elected the HRE Emperor as well. And from this point on, you should realistically be staying the HRE Emperor for the rest of the game, because you're still allied to a bunch of these guys that you started being allied to, and we are gonna subjugate the remaining guys that we aren't allied to, basically Brandenburg and Saxony. Then it'll just be Trier left right here that we aren't allied to, but it's really not a big deal since we will control so many of these guys. Obviously, when you become the emperor, there are a couple of different routes you can go with, basically strictly focusing on passing reforms, gunning for that imperial authority, trying to revoke the privilege and stuff like that. Or you could not focus on the HRE at all, just stay the emperor, use the bonuses that you're going to get from being the emperor, and then passing reforms whenever you have the imperial authority to do so, instead of actually trying to go for imperial authority and stopping the Reformation and stuff like that. In this campaign right here, I'm only interested in taking advantage of these bonuses right here. I'm not really interested in revoking the privilege or anything like that, so I'm just gonna pass these reforms whenever I have the imperial authority. I'm not strictly gonna go for increasing it, disinheriting heirs, forcing nations into the HRE, and stuff like that. But there we go, you should have become the HRE emperor as soon as the first Austrian ruler died. Now you have basically infinite manpower, a nicer income as well, and a very nice force limit too. Once about a year or two have passed after you've PU'd Poland, if any of these guys down here in the Balkans are still alive, now is when you go and conquer them, so you can get to them before the Ottomans do. If no guys exist over here, basically if Venice or maybe Hungary or the Ottomans have expanded here, and you don't have anyone to fight, then that's totally cool. You're still gonna chill for a little bit more before we continue with different wars like with Austria, Saxony, and Brandenburg. That's because aggressive expansion with these guys up here is still relatively high, whereas these guys down here, some of them are Orthodox, so it really won't trigger a coalition. Either way, Hungary, we can see that they haven't built up a claim on Serbia just yet, but it's no big deal since I have my own claim on Bosnia right here, and I am gonna co-belligerent Serbia, so we can go ahead and full annex both of these guys. And there we go, I'm not gonna call in anyone, there's really no need, and let's take care of these two guys. Remember, fight anyone that you can that Hungary borders. If there's no one here, don't worry, keep chilling, and focus on developing the nation improvement missions. For your first stage ability, I recommend taking Justified Wars. And there we go, the Burgundian succession also happened during this point in the game. It is pretty normal for it to happen around the 1480s, but there we go, it happened in 1471 for me, and obviously there's a really high chance that Burgundy will choose to be your junior partner. Just like it happened in my game right here, the chances are even higher if you're also the HRE Emperor at that point. But now that we're the HRE Emperor and that we've gotten Burgundy, obviously we're going to select this option right here in the Burgundian Inheritance Imperial Incident, keep our union with Burgundy. That's what you want to go with. Do not make concessions to France, do not integrate Burgundy into the empire. This is the option you want to go with. And there we go. Realistically, about 99% of you should have gotten the Burgundian succession yourself. Obviously, for Bohemia gameplay, it really doesn't matter if you end up getting the horse event and just straight up inheriting all of Burgundy for yourself, or if you keep them around as a subject. If you're going more heavily for the HRE gameplay, basically focusing on passing reforms heavily and forcing nations into the HRE, then sure, it would be better if you inherit this so you can fight France more directly. But there we go, that's another subject acquired. By this point, you could realistically have all of these guys. Another mission you'll be able to take after you become the HRE Emperor is Charles IV's claims right here, where we gain 1 diplo point for every country in the HRE, so that's around 50 or 60-ish by this point in the game. We also gain plus 3 diplo rep for 20 years, and we gain a permaclaims on a bunch of these Luxembourg provinces, along with every Holy Roman province that is not owned by imperial members. Basically, these ones right here. There we go, take that mission whenever you can. Obviously, that Luxembourg claims right here is related to the previous ruler of Luxembourg that was also a ruler of Bohemia. Right now, I've also built up 10 workshops, and as we can see, I can take the mission Bohemian Industry. Whenever you can, take it as well. There we go. Whenever you have an inflation reduction and a trade efficiency guy, obviously you are eligible for the event Radical Reforms, where you can fire both of them to get 200 admin and diplo points. What I recommend doing is firing them first, then getting the points, and then hiring them back, because they are really strong advisors. For your tier 3 government reform, I recommend taking Representatives of the Crown. This is super powerful for subject gameplay, and even though we don't have any vassals or marches right now, we will have them soon, and obviously it unlocks another diplo slot, and our vassals, or the vassals that we will have, will gain an additional 25% national tax. So super strong. Later, once you end up having no vassals, or maybe if you're continuing along with this and you end up having vassals, keep it. But once you stop having vassals, if you're not going for the HRE gameplay, you can definitely swap to centralized or expand a royal court. But for now, definitely Representatives of the Crown. Now that I defeated Serbia and Bosnia, I will separate peace full annex both of these guys. If you were lucky enough to get Serbia in your game too, you will have ended up with a 3rd gold mine down here, which is perfect, and pretty much you're full annexing any nation over here that you might fight, such as Wallachia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, or Serbia. Those are the 4 most likely nations that you'll encounter. There's a pretty low chance that you'll still find Byzantium or Albania, or that you'll end up fighting Ragusa. And there we go, there's a separate piece on Bosnia as well. In fact, I'm going to give one of these provinces over to Hungary because it's in their state and because I want to save some admin points. And just like that, the Ottomans broke the alliance with me, which was pretty expected because either way, after you take care of anything that you can take care of over here, and after you put Hungary, Poland, Lithuania, and after you've gotten Burgundy, it is time for us to break our alliance with the Ottomans because very soon we're going to be fighting them as well. Once you become the HRE Emperor, I recommend building up another army stack just like the one you already have. At this point in the game, mine is going to be 24-4, and I definitely can run another 24-4 stack because as we can see, this stack is only costing 7 ducats. I definitely have the force limit, and I definitely have the manpower as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a little template right here that is going to be 24-4, just like my current army is, and we're going to go ahead and build it up. After you build up your army a little bit, and after you get done building those forts, you will be able to take the mission Protect Against the Turk, where it unlocks the Order of the Dragon local organization, which gives us plus 25% garrison size and plus 25% local garrison army damage, which is super strong. We also gain a permaclaim on the Bulgaria and Silistria areas, and regular claims on all the provinces in Carpathia and in the Balkans owned by the Ottomans. I recommend taking this mission if you're gonna fight the Ottomans in the next 5 years. Now that I've taken care of Hungary, Poland, Lithuania, Bohemia, and the nations that are left over in the Balkans, we're still chilling and not taking the Humiliate Austria and Lion of the Empire missions just yet. Obviously, aggressive expansion is still pretty high-ish with these guys after getting these PUs done. So if we end up fighting Saxony or Brandenburg or Austria now, the entire HRE will coalition us. So that's why we're still chilling on that front. That's why we tried to expand over here. And that's why right now, after we chill for a little bit and recover our manpower a little bit, we are going to go for the Ottomans, because after you've gotten all of these junior partners, you're definitely ready to take them down. At this point, I also recommend picking up another big ally that might help you out in certain wars, even though you don't need their help, and nations that you should get at this point after you're not allied to the Ottomans anymore are definitely Muscovy if you don't want to expand that way with Lithuania, France if you don't want to expand there if you end up getting Burgundy, or Castile since you won't end up expanding into them anyway. So ally whichever one of those guys you want. Personally, I'm gonna go for France here because they are rival to the Ottomans, so they would be willing to help, and because I really don't have any plans of expanding over here even though I got Burgundy. So there we go, there's France. Obviously, if an elector disappears, like it has in my game right here, Trier seems to have gotten full annexed, just give the electorship to any small nation that is potentially not gonna help you that much. Maybe someone like Munster over here. We're not really gonna fight them, we're not really gonna ally them, we don't care what they want to do, so you can go ahead and, for example, grant an electorate just like that. If you happen to be allied to any other HRE nation for some reason, definitely give the electorship slot to your ally. There we go, by developing this province right here, we are even able to spawn gems in it with the faceting event. Very nice. Now that I developed these provinces 5 times, and that's in whatever category, and now that they have workshops, I am able to take the mission Bohemian Crystal, where the event Bohemian Crystal will happen. We gain prestige, development, and it increases the price of glass as well. However, if we complete this mission while we also own 3 provinces that produce glass, which at this point we don't, in fact we lost one, we'll also be able to upgrade the production building in that certain province, this one right here, to another tier, basically upgrading the workshops to a counting house. I actually do recommend waiting to take this mission until you actually get 3 glass producing provinces, because it is a pretty powerful mission. Obviously, if you're impatient, you can definitely go for it right now. It's not like you're gonna lose money or a ton of money or anything like that, but to me it's always super cool having buildings ahead of time. So that's why I personally, I'm not gonna take this mission just yet. At this point, once again, all of my estates are above 50 loyalty, so I'm gonna be seizing land once again, and I'm gonna going into the burghers once again, taking out more burgher loans right here, and these ones I'm gonna use to upgrade some centers of trade. So there we go, there's the one in Bratislava right here, there's the one in that province right there, very nice. Now that I've built up most of the buildings that I wanted to build for myself, I'm going to go ahead and build some buildings for my subjects right here, because of course we're going to end up getting those provinces later on as well. And why not have more powerful subjects while they're still our subjects, you know? Now, as Bohemia, at a certain point, you might get the event the Milanese Succession, where you can gain a subjugation or personal union CB over Milan, depending on what type of nation there are. As we can see, they've gone with the Republic in my game right here, so that's why I'm getting a subjugation CB. If they were a regular monarchy, I would gain the personal union CB. Now, here's what I recommend, and realistically, you have three options right here. If you're playing the heavy HRE game and basically even tried to keep the Italian nations in the HRE if they stayed in Italy, and if you're planning to vassalize all of the HRE guys, then there's no need to do this, just like in the Austria run, since Milan will end up being your subject anyway. If that didn't happen, and if your situation is like this, and Milan isn't in the HRE, what I recommend is PUing them if you get the PU CB. However, I do not recommend subjugating them if you get the subjugation CV, because realistically, the aggressive expansion is different. In my game right here, I literally actually have no interest in Milan. Sure, they're very nice provinces and highly developed and everything like that, but I feel like in a normal Bohemia run, you don't really care about this right here. So obviously you could go for this if you want to. It is going to slow you down a little bit with things you want to do to these guys, but if it's your thing, then go ahead and do it. I don't really recommend it, especially if it's a subjugation CB. Now that I've chilled a bit after I've taken care of these nations down here, and once you've done the same, or if there was no one to PU here, once you're done chilling a bit after you PU'd Poland, it is time to finally fight the Ottomans for the first time. And there we go. Simply go ahead and declare on the Ottomans for anything right here. Obviously, I have a little bit of a truce with them left for about 1 more year right here, so that's when I'm going to do it. But call in anyone that you can call in and definitely go ahead and fight them. You'll see what I do soon. And there we go. My truce with the Ottomans is up. I even got Miltech 7, built up a little bit of cannons, and now it's time to go ahead and declare on them. What I'm going to declare for personally is this province right here that's super close to me, so we can get the war score extremely fast. Because I like France, their rival, they are willing to come in. I'm going to call in everyone right here because it is the Ottomans after all, and they have Tunis and Ajam, fairly strong allies, and Crimea is a subject, so they are pretty powerful in my game, along with AQ, who's actually pretty big, so this alliance is definitely very unlucky for me. But no matter who they're allied to, how big they are, you can take them down by yourself with just these subjects right here. France and Mainz and the Palatinate, they're just tiny bonuses that I'm using to help out. So there we go. There's our declaration on the Ottomans after we've gotten done with Hungary, Poland, Lithuania, and Burgundy. Our main focus in this initial war versus the Ottomans is to take provinces to release Bulgaria and Byzantium from, and to take some additional provinces for ourselves. Now that I've gotten admin deck 7, it is time for my second idea group, and for your second idea group, I feel like you have a couple of options right here as Bohemia. Either you could go with a money-making idea group, for example, economic right here, or if you're focusing heavily on HRE things, then I recommend religious. If you're not interested in any of those, basically if you don't think economic is good enough, even though it's great for the gold mines that we have and developing the rest of our nation, and then religious is great for the HRE, if you don't like those, then definitely go with a mill idea group such as offensive or defensive ideas. These will help out quite a ton. We don't need quantity since we're the HRE Emperor. Quality won't help us out that much since we won't really utilize boats in a Bohemia campaign, and then offensive is obviously excellent as always, but defensive could also pair really well with these orders or organizations that we get from PUing Hungary, which focus on defensive aspects. So if you want to up your economic game, economic. If you're doing the HRE game, religious. Or if you're not doing any of those things, offensive or defensive. In my game right here, my armies are pretty good. I have lots of subjects. I don't need to do the heavy lifting myself. So let's improve the economic aspect. That's why I'm going to go with economic ideas. I did forget to mention earlier that after you convert the Hussite provinces, you should try and get rid of religious culture. And after piecing out Ajam, AQ, and Tunis, I have 98% war score versus the Ottomans, which is about enough. And once you beat them up sufficiently, here's what I recommend taking. First, I recommend taking these provinces right here, so all of these provinces that you can release Bulgaria and Byzantium from, including Constantinople. That will cripple them quite a lot since it really is a source of their power. And then after taking these 5 provinces right here, you can take whatever you want or yourself, so no provinces that'll go to Bulgaria or to Byzantium. In my game, I would take maybe something like this right here, maybe something like this over here, feed it to Lithuania. It's totally up to you what else you take that's not for Bulgaria and Biz. In my game, for example, I'm gonna take these 2 right here, and then let's see, maybe let's give these to Lithuania, and that's about enough. In the next war versus the Ottomans, we'll take back Byzantine or Bulgarian cores, and we'll take additional provinces for ourselves as well. There we go. That's that war with the Ottomans done. It may not seem like a lot, but it is, because now we're going to be releasing Bulgaria just like that, and we're going to be releasing Byzantium as well, just like that. So that's perfect. These are Biz cores that we can reconquer, and these are Bulgarian cores that we can reconquer. And just like that, I also got the Prospering Times event. Obviously, usually you do want to go with this option right here, which pretty much creates a level 3 center of trade in that certain province. There we go. As we can see, if I want to build a marketplace there, that's how much trade power we're going to get. Or actually, that's Constantinople. But there we go, 7.7. Not bad at all. At this point, I can also pass a second imperial reform. It is something I'm going to do. Now, as we can see right here, after giving this glass-producing province to our subject Byzantium, that this right here has a green check mark, which means that the game does consider us having 3 glass-producing provinces. Basically, the one that we have, the one that Biz has, and the one that Burgundy has over here. So at this point, let's go ahead and test it. Let's see if it will in fact upgrade this workshop to a counting house. If it does, obviously you'll take it at this point as well, and if it doesn't, you'll wait to own 3 glass producing provinces directly yourself. And there we go, just like that event happens. A pretty nice event. The price of glass changes, and the building right here should be upgraded, and it is, which is excellent. There's a 24 admin tech building while we're still at admin tech 7. Excellent. So definitely go ahead and take that mission once you have 3 glass producing provinces between yourself and your subjects. Obviously, when you get 2 subjects back, once again, you should once again give the nobility strong duchies. Right now, I'm just deleting some forts that I don't need. You could do the same. And obviously, once you complete all 3 of these missions, you will most likely be able to take the mission The Golden City as well. This is that bugged one that I told you about, where you can just basically keep expanding infrastructure, reducing infrastructure, expanding infrastructure, reducing infrastructure, and that gives you pretty much free dev. It's not going to cost 65 points to dev a province. It's only going to cost 50 points for 3 points of dev right here, so it's absolutely busted. If you want to play with exploits and bugs and stuff like that, you can definitely get Prague up to probably like 1000 development in the next 100 years, but you know, for the sake of this guide, let's just not do that, and let's instead take this mission. Obviously, if Prague is the most developed province in Europe, we will gain 200 splendor, which could be nice. It's not really that necessary. Obviously, you can go in the ledger right here, go into the country, go into the province development list right here, and list them by development. And as we can see, we need to bump up Prague to 40 in order to gain that 200 splendor. Really, no need to do that in my opinion in my game right here. Obviously, you can do it in yours. And there we go. These next few missions right here in this development branch, there's no need to focus on them now since you'll be doing them way later in the game. Obviously, whenever you end up owning this province, whether it's a war with the Ottomans, whether it's a war versus Serbia if it's still here, you could develop this gold mine up to 10 production as well, if you want to. You already have 2, and income should be pretty stable, but more income is always nice. So definitely maybe after you wrap up Diplo ideas, and after you catch up on tech, then you could go ahead and develop it. Personally, I'm not going to develop it right now. I'm going to be doing it later. At any point in the game, you could go ahead and develop Krakow 3 times over here so you can secure the Vistula land right here. You can develop it in any points you want to. Since I have some extra mill points, let's pour some in there. And just like that, we've developed it 3 times and we can take this mission. If we complete this mission while we have 30% control in the Krakow trade node, we'll just gain an advisor, so no need to wait for that. And there we go. Just like that is done, and the center of trade has increased to level 3. This is obviously very nice for Poland, but it'll also be super nice for us later on once we annex it. Once you've chilled a couple of years after your war with the Ottomans and aggressive expansion with these guys over here has died down from your PUs on Hungary and on Poland, it is time to start focusing on the internal HRE conquests along with the Ottomans simultaneously. Obviously, if you're focusing on expanding the HRE at this point, you also have another route of expansion over in France. So, regular gameplay, this and this. Heavy HRE gameplay, this, and this. And what we're going to be doing right now is focusing on us subjugating Brandenburg, Saxony, and Austria. Now, because all of these guys, all of this will be very high aggressive expansion, we need to do it carefully, we need to do it slowly, and we need to take turns in hitting these guys over here. So the way I recommend that you do it is to fight Austria once, take 3 provinces from them, because for this mission obviously we need 6, then chill a bit, subjugate one of these guys, chill a bit, go back to Austria, chill a bit, and then subjugate the other guy. And that's why I recommend opening up with Austria. So, because we want to take 6 provinces out of these 9 that they have over here, I recommend just going for the lower dev ones. Don't take Vienna just yet. We'll deal with it later. Something I would do in this first war with Austria is take these 3, for example, and then the next war, do these 3, or something like that. Basically, you're going to be taking these provinces here primarily. So there we go. Here's my declaration on Austria. I am gonna call in France right here to make things easier. Why not? Let's call in the small HRE guys as well, do it faster, and there we go. There's your first war on Austria. Remember, we still haven't taken this mission that gives us claims over on Austria. In the first war, we're going to take provinces, and in the second war, we're going to take provinces and humiliate them. And then we'll take these two missions, one right after the other, so we gain a permanent 10% core creation cost discount. And there we go, my war with Austria is pretty much done. No need to wait to peace out England over here. The first 3 provinces that I'm going to take are these right here, and then in the next war, I'm going to take these 3 because it is about the same aggressive expansion. So there we go. All we need is 6, no money, no war reps. Let's keep the truce short. And that's your first war with Austria done. Now it's time to focus on our economy once again and improving relations with outraged countries. At this point, since we're not really making any money from trade at all, this is a pretty wonky setup for Bohemia right here in the middle of all of these inland trade nodes. Later, if you do end up inheriting Burgundy, or if you expand in the Ottomans even more, you can move your main trade node into one of these trade nodes right here. But for now, since we're not making that much money, let's go back to that. You can tell all of these merchants right here to establish communities instead of just maximizing profit. For example, I'm going to move the one that's in Pest over in Saxony, tell him to collect, and I'm going to move the one that's in Krakow over in the Rhineland, tell him to collect as well, and I'm going to tell all of these guys to establish communities. Now, after you've gotten done with your first war versus Austria right here, I actually recommend spying on Brandenburg right here and getting a claim on them. Now, if they look like this in your campaign, that's totally normal. This is basically their original size, but obviously everyone's campaign is different, so they might have grown or they might have shrunk in your campaign. If they are smaller than their regular size, basically if they lost like 2 or 3 provinces, no need to spy on them, no need to do this initial war versus them. However, if they're looking like this or they're larger, you need to do one war with them before you actually do the subjugation war so we can shrink them and not gain as much as aggressive expansion. We're not really fighting Saxony and Brandenburg for their land right here. We're fighting them so we can subjugate them and basically have these 2 electors under our control as well. So that's why now we're going to spy on Brandenburg, fight them, and make them release a couple of nations or give someone else a couple of provinces. It's not a bad idea to ally some of these guys up here and call them into that war so you can actually feed them. For that reason, I'm just gonna ally Mecklenburg right here and hopefully feed a couple of Brandenburg provinces to them. Now that I have a claim on Brandenburg, there's a simple declaration. I'm not taking anything right here, just making them give away some provinces. Mecklenburg, after all, they don't want to come in, so that's no big deal. I am gonna call in these small guys right here in the HRE though to speed things up with these guys. And there we go, this tiny war is done. I'm just gonna make them give Uckermark over to Stettin and release Rupen. It ain't much, but it's honest work, so these 2 provinces will save us a little bit of aggressive expansion later on. No need for money and war reps in this war. If I could, I would probably make them give away 2 more provinces, for example. Once about 2 or 3 years have passed after you took these provinces from Austria, you're finally good to take the mission Lion of the Empire right here, which gives us minus 10% aggressive expansion impact for 15 years, and it also gives us a subjugation CB on Saxony and Brandenburg. Luckily, Saxony is usually pretty small, so you will have no trouble subjugating them and stuff like that. And after we take this mission, we'll subjugate Saxony, wait a little bit to fight Austria again, wait a little bit, and then fight Brandenburg. This CB is valid for 30 years, so it won't run out, obviously. So there we go. There's the mission Lion of the Empire. Now we have those CBs on Saxony and Brandenburg. And right after you take that mission, you're good to go ahead and declare, there's my declaration over on Saxony, the subjugation CB, and there we go. That's that. Pretty simple. For your tier 4 government reform, I recommend taking lands for the church. And now that we've defeated Saxony, we're simply gonna go ahead and select the Bohemian vassal option right here. As we can see with them specifically, it's not that much aggressive expansion, way less obviously than just taking these provinces for ourselves, which is something we don't even want. We want them to be our subject. Then you can also take their money. As we can see, no risk of a coalition. And there we go. There's one of the 2 electors we want to subjugated. Now, after subjugating Saxony, you may be able to take the mission Electorate of Saxony right here if all of the provinces in the area of Saxony are owned by us or them. Now, it does happen quite a lot in the latest couple of patches, probably since 1.35, that Thuringia actually takes control of this specific province right here. That is not something uncommon, what's going on in my game right here. So, if Saxony doesn't have all of the provinces in the area of Saxony, what you're gonna do next is simply fight whoever has this province and give it over to them, so then you'll be able to take this mission, and we want the event The Fate of Saxony to happen. As we can see, that event will allow us to decide the fate of Saxony by either turning them into a junior partner or keeping them as a subject. basically a vassal. And the reason we actually want that event and we want to turn them into a junior partner, even though they're so small, is because we gain less imperial authority if they are our vassal. You see that one of the electors in the empire are subject states, and it gives us minus 0.1 imperial authority monthly, but if they're our junior partner, that doesn't count. So that's why now I'm simply going to go ahead and spy on Thuringia right here and fight them just for the province of Wittenberg. In the meantime, I'm just constructing some workshops in the high-value trade good provinces of my subjects. At this point, I can pass my third imperial reform, Absolute Reichsstabilität. Obviously, this one enables us to force neighboring nations to join the HRE. If we're playing the HRE game heavily, you would have wanted to get this done a little bit faster than this. But since I'm not strictly focusing on this, there we go, we can pass it now. The minus 25% state maintenance is obviously very nice as well, even if in my game I don't want to force anyone in the HRE. Now I have gotten a claim on Thuringia, so there's a little quick declaration on them, just so we can give this over to Saxony. And just as I declared the war, the Duchess of Burgundy has died. Obviously, just like this, we end up inheriting Burgundy. It really doesn't matter what happens with them, in my opinion. Like I said earlier, if you're playing the HRE game, it is better for you to get this, but they are a really competent subject as well. Obviously, these are super dev'd lands as well, so you definitely want to state this up. Make sure to not go over force limit, but these are super valuable lands, so definitely state it up if you do end up inheriting them. Now, after your initial ruler dies right here, this is my second guy. Obviously, there'll be an election once again. We can keep our heir, which in my game is a 3-2-4 Craven guy. We can get a Valois guy, which obviously may enable us to PU France right here. We can choose one from our own nobles that we can see their stats, or we can convert a general into a ruler of 5-3-2. That's not bad at all. But, you know, for gameplay purposes right here, let's just keep this same dynasty. Even though some of these guys are better, I am going to stick with my original guy. Obviously, I have been re-elected HRE Emperor. That's going to happen in your game as well. But more importantly, you'll gain this event right here, the Heretic King, after your initial ruler dies, where you can bend the knee to Rome and just flip your ruler and heir to Catholic for free instead of doing that decision right there, which is basically going to cost you stability. So do not do that decision, time for a Catholic ruler. Instead, wait for this event after your initial ruler dies. Basically, bend the knee to Rome. And we have enough war score to just give Wittenberg over to Saxony, and there we go. That's that war done. Very simple. After you do that, you will be able to take this mission, the Electorate of Saxony, and obviously we gain 100 admin points, and this event happens. You need to select the option, create a personal union, which makes Saxony our junior partner. Do not select this right here. So there we go. Just like that, Saxony is now our junior partner, and let's take a look at this right here. As we can see, that negative modifier has went away. Perfect. After you've fought Austria once, and after you've subjugated one of the two electors, it is time to turn back on the Ottomans, because at this point our truce with them will have expired. So it's time for your second war with the Ottomans, where you're going to reconquer Bulgarian or Byzantine cores. I'm going to do the Byzantine cores first because, let's face it, they are more valuable. So there we go. There's a reconquest right there. There's the reconquest CB. I'm simply going to declare for Edirne, for example, this province right here. Call in France. Muscovy, their newfound ally, won't even join, and that's perfect. We'll call in everyone right here. Let's make this easy and fun. And there we go. That's your second war with the Ottomans started after you've already fought Austria once and after you've subjugated one elector. At this point, I've also wrapped up economic ideas. Obviously, we are going to be taking this policy. Pretty important in the early game. Obviously, if you do end up inheriting Burgundy, you will get the Dutch revolt disaster that'll start ticking as soon as the Reformation spawns. To avoid it, you're simply going to need to move your capital over to the lowlands, basically in a Dutch cultured province. When you unlock courthouses, make sure to build them in every single province, especially if you've inherited Burgundy. And once you've completely crushed the Ottomans, you're simply gonna give all of the cores back to one of your subjects that you declared a reconquest for. I did it for Byzantium, obviously, and there's all of their cores back. And then with the rest of the war score, take provinces for yourself or for your other subjects. So what I'm gonna do is just give these provinces right here over to Poland in the Wallachia area. Then in the next war, we'll wrap up everything for Bulgaria and wrap up everything else dislocated right here, and maybe take a little bit more in Anatolia. But for now, that's pretty much it. After you wrapped up your war with the Ottomans, aggressive expansion in the HRE should have died down enough, and your truce with Austria should be expired. And at this point, we're going to be doing our second war versus Austria, where we're going to take 3 more provinces from them and humiliate them. So there we go. My truce is up. Aggressive expansion is looking good. There's my next declaration using a Hungarian claim, actually, which is no big deal. And there we go. Let's call in everyone right here, because in this war, we are going to have to deal with England, because we do need a lot of war score to take the provinces and humiliate Austria. So there we go. It's Austria, one elector, then the Ottomans, then back to Austria, and then it's going to be another elector. And there we go, now this war is pretty much done. Since Austria isn't my rival, I actually can't humiliate them, but it's no big deal. It's just a little modifier lost right here, basically. We don't gain 25 prestige, so it's no big deal. There's the 3 other provinces we need from Austria. We can take money, we can take war reps, whatever we want. And that's our second war with Austria for now. Done. At this point, I can also pass my 4th imperial reform, which is always nice. And now we're gonna go ahead and take the mission Humiliate Austria. We gain a bunch of nice things over here and perma claims on these Austrian provinces. And also now we're gonna be taking this mission Otakar's Legacy, and that minus 10% core creation cost becomes permanent. There we go. Now all we need to reforge Great Moravia is have 3 stability, and that'll unlock the decision for us to be able to form this brand new formable that's been added in this latest update, the Nation of Great Moravia, which, as you all know, was a sort of a dark age state located right around here. And I do think their national ideas are actually pretty good. Now that we've taken those provinces from Austria, we're once again gonna chill for about 2 or 3 years before subjugating our next elector. It's either Brandenburg and Saxony, of course. Now, something very interesting has happened in my game right here that I've actually never seen before. So Lithuania somehow flipped the Hussite. I don't know how this exactly happened. If anyone knows in the comments, definitely let me know. But either way, all that Hussite jazz aside, once you finish coring up the provinces from your second war versus Austria, by that point, aggressive expansion should have chilled enough to where you can declare your next subjugation war versus one of the 2 HRE electors. In my game, it's Brandenburg that's left over here. So after that time has run out, simply go ahead and declare on them, and it's time to vassalize them as well. There we go. And now that I've been in this war versus Brandenburg long enough, obviously we can't peace out Gotland. They'll finally accept to become our vassal and give us a little bit of money. As we can see, a lot of guys will be mad, but even if a coalition forms with these specific nations on this list right here, it's really not going to be a problem, and it is going to disband very soon. In fact, it's December 24th, so let's wait for another month tick right here. And there we go. As we can see, the coalition is a tiny bit smaller, as far as I can tell. And there we go. That's that war with Brandenburg done, and now they're our subject as well. Once again, just like with the Saxony mission right here, if Brandenburg doesn't own all of the provinces in Mittelmark, which of course we made them give away right here in our previous war, you won't be able to take this mission right here, Electorate of Brandenburg, but the event is pretty much the same, just like with Saxony. We can decide to keep them as our vassal, or we can turn them into a PU subject, or we can turn them into a March as well. The reason Brandenburg has the March option is so they can hopefully form Prussia later on, so you have a powerful Prussia subject, but that sort of doesn't matter because of this mission right here, allowing us to directly release Prussia from over here. I wonder if we can have 2 Prussias with these 2 missions right here. Probably not. Either way, I do not recommend keeping them as a vassal. I do not recommend keeping them as a March. Instead, I recommend doing the same thing that you did with Saxony with them and turning them into a junior partner as well, so you don't end up with this negative modifier right there. Now, even though we're making so much money, I am, after all, gonna develop this gold mine up to 10 production as well. We have so many good gold modifiers right here as Bohemia from our missions, from our national ideas, from the ideas that we take, that it's literally a no-brainer. And there we go. Income is even better. While Brandenburg is still my vassal over here, as we can notice, the Protestant Reformation spawned right in them. I'm simply gonna go ahead and force them to become Catholic once they get a positive opinion of it. And there we go. At this point, I can finally take the mission Reforge Great Moravia, which obviously gives us the event, the Legacy of Great Moravia, where this right here happens. It unlocks a decision for us to form Great Moravia. Obviously, we have another sort of formable as Bohemia, because by taking this mission, our name will simply change to the Bohemian Commonwealth, along with some nice permanent modifiers like the diplomatics cost, the gov cap, and the +1 possible policies. But this right here is an actual formable nation. It gives us some mill points for our rulers, along with army tradition and military tactics while we have the current ruler active. And there we go. Let's take a look at the decision right here. There is Restore Great Moravia, obviously admin tech 10, so it's not like admin tech 20 or anything stupid like that. And we just need to own directly a couple of provinces right here from Poland, Hungary, and Austria. Obviously, eventually you'll do that. Eventually you'll eat up Austria and finish off Vienna as well. Eventually you'll integrate Poland and Hungary, but for now, it's really no worries. And by around the time you finish subjugating both Saxony and Brandenburg, your realm should look a little something like this. Basically, we started off as Bohemia and bided our time for the first 5 or 10 years until we found out what the situation was with Hungary, and obviously the optimal opener for this sort of beginner-friendly guide is by declaring on Hungary and PUing them. Obviously, if Austria got Hungary, or if they were somehow too strong for you to declare, then you should have gone for Poland instead, and after wrapping up both of these guys, if you had the possibility, of course, you were in a pretty good position to start dominating the rest of Europe yourself. Obviously, right at the start, we also allied a bunch of electors, so we could be elected HRE Emperor. You should have been elected HRE Emperor as soon as the first Austrian ruler died realistically, and by trying to secure an alliance with the Ottomans and or Muscovy as well, you should have dealt with some of these stronger guys. But after getting Hungary and Poland, you didn't need that alliance with these guys, because then you set your sights on them. So after taking care of these guys and simultaneously becoming the HRE emperor and trying to go for the Burgundian inheritance, after that you were pretty much ready to take on the Ottomans. And in your first war versus the Ottomans, you took them on, it took a bunch of provinces from them to release Byzantium and Bulgaria from, and while chilling and letting aggressive expansion die down quite a lot between all of these wars that I just mentioned so far, after that you should have gone for Austria, taken 3 provinces from them, then fought one of these two guys, then fought the Ottomans again, then went back to Austria to take 3 more provinces, so we can take these 2 missions right here, one right after the other. So this minus 10% court creation cost remains permanent, and after that you basically subjugated the other elector, gave them back any provinces that they need to have, and then you've taken these 2 missions. And like I said just a couple of minutes ago, I do recommend turning both Saxony and Brandenburg into junior partners instead of keeping them as vassals or marches, because that does negate that minus 0.1 imperial authority growth modifier. Obviously, like I said, you could keep around Brandenburg as a march in order to get Prussia from them, but with the ability to release Prussia from one of these missions right here, there's completely no need to do that, and you should have just made them your junior partner. Of course, during all this time, we weren't only focusing on, you know, PUing Hungary, Poland, Lithuania, Burgundy, fighting the Ottomans, fighting some of these internal HRE guys. You should have also focused pretty heavily on your economy, because as Bohemia, we do start off with 1 gold mine, which you should have developed, and then after seizing these provinces from Hungary from that mission, you also got another gold mine, which you should have also developed at the time, and then eventually you will also get this gold mine, which is optional if you want to develop this one up to 10 as well. And obviously the economy should be booming by this point. Very high income from tax, production, and gold right here. Trade is decent as well, but obviously with the situation that Bohemia is in, these trade nodes aren't that good, and even if you end up getting Burgundy and you move your capital here and this is your main trade node, still the trade setup won't be really optimal with these sort of inland nations that we're playing over here. So don't worry about trade too much while you're this big. Later, when you annex your subjects, Hungary, Poland, Lithuania, and these guys down in the Balkans, the trade situation will improve, but right now the income is mainly from gold and taxation. Obviously, the other regions that we were focusing on economically was developing some certain provinces over here, like our capital, for example, these 2 provinces that are required for missions and so on, some provinces for our subjects too, and obviously you should have been focusing on buildings as well. By this point of the game, I've built up marketplaces in all of the relevant center of trade and estuary provinces, some in myself, some in my subjects as well. Obviously, you'll continue to build courthouses once you unlock them, especially if you end up inheriting Burgundy, and build them in your subjects as well, because this will all become your land sooner or later either way, so you definitely want to minimize that governing capacity that you're using right now. You should have focused on building production buildings in the high value trade good provinces as well, in yourself and in your subjects, and we don't even need to mention churches, because there are so many provinces you can build these in, pretty much in every single province that gives you more than 0.1 ducats a month. A couple of army buildings here and there, later on manufactories too, basically you get the point, but don't forget to focus on your economy as well. The gold isn't enough to get a roaring economy. Sure, it will sustain you quite a lot, but really you gotta outgrow it sooner or later. And definitely focus on upgrading centers of trade as well to level 2 at least, especially all of the ones that you might end up inheriting from Burgundy. After this point, you'll continue to expand in the same directions we've already been expanding in by wrapping up some of these missions right here. This mission obviously enables you to change your name to the Bohemian Commonwealth and gives you some very nice permanent modifiers right here, so definitely make sure to do that. These right here focus on us finishing off the Ottomans. These right here are related to, you know, restoring Königsberg right here. Definitely do that while it's still owned by Poland, or after you get it, it doesn't really matter. And definitely make sure to complete these religious missions and these HRE missions and these development missions as well. But by this point, you should have wrapped up most of the mission tree. Either way, by taking this mission right here, you also have the ability to restore Great Moravia later on. Actually, as we can see right here, the only province I need for that is Vienna. So this is definitely an optional one. The Great Moravia traditions are pretty good in my opinion. You can open them up on the wiki or in the latest dev diaries to check them out for yourself, but Bohemian ideas are also pretty strong as well. Regarding actual expansion, you will continue to chop down the Ottomans, mainly taking care of the provinces in the Balkans in the next war before continuing to expand over in Anatolia. I do recommend expanding over there, and then after you're done with the Ottomans, or at the same time, you can continue continue to expand over here in this direction a little bit, maybe in the Pontic Steppe, Baltic, Ruthenia, and Russia regions right here. If you want to, you can take stuff for yourself, maybe grow Lithuania a little bit. It's totally up to you. But the region you're generally focusing on as Bohemia is pretty much this right here. Obviously, if you got the Burgundian succession, you can choose to expand into France as well if it is your wish, or maybe even if you're focusing strongly on the HRE, basically after passing this reform, forcing nations in to farm imperial authority, you could definitely dismantle France and force all of those guys in the HRE if that's what you want to do. You could even do the same with the Italian guys, but pretty much the expansion is going to focus on these regions right here. After you wrap that up, you can go anywhere you want to. This is what we took for our first two idea groups, diplomatic and economic. I feel like they're pretty strong idea group openers as Bohemia for everything that we're going to be doing. If you're going to continue to play heavily with subjects, or if you're playing heavily within the HRE and planning to, revoke the privilege, then for your third idea group, I recommend influence ideas, once again focusing on subjects and stuff like that. But if you're not going to play heavy with subjects later on after you annex these guys, if you're not dealing with the HRE that much, then I recommend picking up a mill idea group such as offensive or defensive for your third one right here. And after that, for your fourth one, either way, if you took influence or if you took a mill one, I do recommend a mill one for sure for your fourth idea group. So it's either diplo, economic, influence, or a mill one, and then a mill one, or diplo, economic, mill one, mill one. The rest of these are totally up to you. This is what we took for our first 4 government reforms for tier 5. I recommend any of these 3 right here, but we also do have a unique one that we can get from one of our missions right here. Once you take this mission right here, we unlock the Wagenburg Tactics tier 5 gov reform, which gives us minus 10% morale damage received, and winning battles on our territory gives us 0.1 bonus army tradition. It's decent, but you can judge for yourself if it's better than any of these 3 right here that I usually recommend taking. For tier 6, I recommend Royal Decree after Absolutism spawns. Before that, you could definitely roll around with Aristocratic Court, since it is pretty good for subjects. For tier 7, I recommend Meritocratic Recruitment. For tier 8, I recommend Empowering the Burghers or Embracing the Economic Theory. For tier 9, I recommend the 6 Books of the Republic or the Social Contract if you don't want to worry about religion. And for tier 10 and tier 11, all of them are really good. Take whichever one you want. At that point in the game, you won't make a mistake with either one of them. And like I said, by around the time you finish subjugating Saxony and Brandenburg, your realm should look a little something like this. If you're not that confident in your abilities, or if you're not sure if your game is going to go like mine, this save file is available for all YouTube members in the Save Games Discord channel, and you can continue playing as Bohemia from this state forward. Let me know in the comments below what's the next nation that I should do a guide on. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like, it really helps out a lot, and if you like the content and want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of them. And you can become a member today and join the Discord, the link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another EU4 video.